Yes, guys, welcome to the next lesson I'll be going through. So in this one, we're going to be looking at currency volatility and data. So this is kind of going to start getting you into fundamentals. Of course, it's so much more than this, but this is simply just to understand the volatility of each pair and then using some data to back this up as well. So the difference between marketplaces is how liquid the market is. So the volume of the market participants, thus impacting the volatility. For example, Euro GBP and Euro USD are some of the most liquid and heavily traded pairs. And so for the market to move even just a pip, lots of money must be moved. On the opposite end of the spectrum, exotic pairs, which have much lower liquidity, its prices moves much more frequently and quickly, making it more volatile. These are the markets that retail traders usually stay away from. Um, so just to explain this properly, you've got volatility and then you've got liquidity as well. Liquidity, what it is the amount of money that flows into that market. So if you guys didn't know, Euro USD is the most traded pair across the world by banks, by institutions. Of course, they mainly make up the whole sector. But then on the opposite side, you've got some exotic pairs like USD South African Rand. That pair moves a lot more frequently. Like you're going to get maybe 800 pip moves in a week or so. Crazy, crazy moves. And the reason for that is the amount of money that it takes to shift Euro USD even one pip is so much more than USD ZAR simply because there's not enough market cap in a way. Let's just say the max amount of money that's invested into that pair. If I was to come up with a currency today and I was the only one that had that money, I would easily control the price changes. But if lots and lots and lots of people took part of changing the currency and trading it, then of course it'd be harder for me to shift that currency in my favor or in the direction I want. So how do we measure volatility? So volatility of each pair can be measured by the ATR, average true range. Now, this is something that you can put on, I believe you can put on your charts on TradingView. If not, you can simply work it out. Use Excel and the data to work it out. Personally, in a previous group that I was in before, we got sent this, and it was very helpful. But the ATR was calculated for pretty much all the pairs. So, for example, we've got Euro USD values here. And by the way, before we get any further, average true range, just so you know what it is, it's how much the pair moves essentially, and by how much percentage. So you see how here we've got, so what does this mean? You see here we've got Euro USD 1.67%. So in 1 year, the weekly average true range, so that means how much it moves by in percentage points, is 1.67%. So if the price right now for Euro and USD is $1, it takes well, €1, whatever it is, it will change by 1.67% that week. So we can expect that kind of volatility, that much sort of price movement. So what happens when you compare it to everything else? If you guys can see, we've got this table here. We've got some labeled in red, blue, and then gray. The gray ones are the ones with very much lower volatility. Usually we could look at the weekly or the monthly. Weekly is a good measure just because, on the daily, if you look at the ATR, some days are going to have news events, so that might change it. All the data. Weekly is quite a good sort of not prediction, but it's quite a good piece of data for that. But yeah, as you can see, Euro USD has a gray table, so low volatility. Euro GBP as well. Pairs like Euro AUD, Euro NOK, Euro ZAR, Euro NZD. If you know a bit about all these pairs, you know that these are commodity-based pairs. These are pairs that have a lot of exports and less imports. So Euro USD, for example, you're linked to the Eurozone and also United States. If you compare that to Australia or New Zealand, they export a lot of iron, they export a lot of gold. All these kinds of things come into play when working out the volatility. So now you understand certain pairs have different kinds of movements and volatility. Least volatile pairs, the pairs that are most traded and also that have safe haven sort of characteristics, because when there's a recession or the economy is going through a crisis or anything sort of negative around the world, many investors will flock to invest their money in safe haven currencies. They want pairs that will give them the highest yield on their money. So essentially, it both works as a hedge against the economy. So as I'm just going to explain it really quickly, but as inflation rises, your money is not worth what it was before. So if you can invest in something that will keep your income stable or your investment stable, essentially it means you have gotten richer in proportion to the whole world. So that's why a lot of people invest in safe haven currencies. Then you've got the medium range, which is I'd say CAD and AUD. You could even put NZD in there as well. I mean, any country with a lot of exports. But then the most volatile pairs are the exotic pairs. They're not heavily traded, usually commodity-based pairs. The Mexican peso, um, Norwegian krona, I think it's called. And yeah, I mean, this is sort of a precursor into the fundamental course that we'll be going through. There's a lot to learn in that, of course, but in terms of the data, I've got an Excel document that I'm going to provide every single student. This is data collected from a few months ago, so it's not going to be completely up to date, but because these are based on weekly and monthly timeframes, not much is going to change. I mean, Euro GBP is not going to become more volatile than Euro AUD, for example. That's just not going to happen. This document is just going to explain to you which pairs you can look for if you want a more volatile pair. And yeah, that's it, guys. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson and hope you benefit from this. All right, take care.